Welcome to Powerhouse Founders and Leaders, the show for women who build, lead, and refuse to shrink to fit. I'm Nicole Overcamp, finance pro, business coach, and your favorite tough love hype woman. I've been building business for over 15 years, and I know the sting of white knuckling payroll and the gut punch seasons you don't post about, and also what it takes to come out stronger. I get it. It's lonely at the top, but not here, my friend. I'm the founder and CEO of Wilcox Financial Group, a boutique financial planning firm for women, and Powerhouse Money Coaching, where financial education meets business coaching that actually moves the needle. I built both, starting super scrappy from negative revenue to now multiple seven figures, and I did it because women deserve better. On this show, we talk about increasing profits, avoiding burnout, and being a stronger, more confident leader. Here, there's no finance bro jargon, no hustle culture, and zero apologizing for wanting more. If you're ready to grow and gain insights on how to build a life that feels aligned and is as amazing as you are, let's go, sister. So, my Powerhouse fam, I have Crystal Guzman on with us today. I am so excited for you to hear her story, for you to be able to probably deeply resonate with a lot of what she has to talk about. She is a 3-time founder. You have a real estate company, a very large mental health counseling practice, which is incredibly impressive. I know how hard that space is. And you have a nonprofit. So, Crystal, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. It's
Yeah,
pretty
my
amazing to be invited on this.
it's my pleasure and truly my honor, and you've had quite a journey, my friend. And even in this short time that we were just chatting, you kind of tossed in there that you did have a real estate business. So, talk to me about that journey a little bit, how you were in real estate, which is very different than mental health counseling, and what made you start to think about
It
that
is.
transition.
Yeah, interesting thing was I was in my early 20s and I just had a desire to do something in real estate. So I decided to start buying a house, which really wasn't that difficult. You just have to have good credit, you save a few
Mhm.
$1,000s, and I started buying houses out of state. I live in
Oh,
California, which is very,
interesting.
very expensive. So back then, in my 20s, it wasn't making a lot of money. And to buy a house out of state where they were about 130, 140,000 back then was pretty easy to put 3% down, 5% down or 10% down. It was something that was manageable for me. So I would just save and then I would buy something, rent it out, save and then buy something and rent it out. And I did that for years. So a little stressful. People didn't pay their rent, but I was managing it and I was able to do that for a really long time.
It's pretty cool. And
Yeah.
what made you now, were you simultaneously then going to school to become a mental health counselor or therapist?
Yeah. I mean, I had gone to school to get my bachelor's and then I was, simultaneously just buying properties and getting my master's degree in psychology, um, and working. And then I think a big shift happened. I ended up getting married. So that's my story. So I was in my
Yep.
20s. I was in college getting my master's degree. I met someone, fell madly in love, ended up getting married. We had 3 kids back to back. And then almost right after that last one, I found out he was having an affair. And that's when like my whole life just kind of like shifted. At that point, I was raising kids on my own. I was managing all of the bills on my own. And I figured I had to do something about that. And that's when I thought, well, I have my master's degree. Why don't I go and get my license? And that's when that started, that journey of getting my license so that I'd had more stability to raise my kids was what I ended up doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, and that sounds like, the truly the first courageous decision you made in that transition was to say, stability, getting licensed, and then did you go straight into solo practice? Like, what was day one?
Yeah, so I ended up, gosh, I was working long hours.
So
So, oh gosh, do you want me to
it's
stop
okay.
my dog?
No, it's totally fine.
So,
I'm actually glad that my office door is shut because I bring my dog to work every day. And so she would
okay.
start like talking back to your dog barking without fail. It's
Oh,
usually me.
I
So
don't
I'm
even know where
glad.
she's at.
Yeah,
I thought I
I'm
put her away.
I'm glad it's you
Okay.
this time. It's all good.
Okay. Okay. So, where were we? So,
Thanks for
so yes, I needed stability, and I decided that I would work and get my license. There's about 3,000 hours you need to get done, so it takes several years. So I was working two jobs. I had three kids to take care of. I got looking back at those days, I don't even know how I did it. And I can tell you, to all the single moms out there, it is incredible the amount of pressure and the amount of responsibilities that we have, because I had these three kids. I took them to school, worked all day, picked them up, came home, cooked dinner, did homework, took them showers, put them to bed, got back on my computer and worked from the time they went to bed, which was about 8:30 to about 1, 2 in the morning, and then did it again. And I did it for years
hmm
just so that I can get my license. And so
Yeah.
that was pretty incredible. It was very stressful, not sure, how I did it. But I did it. And once that was done, I did open up my own solo practice and I started seeing clients. And that was a life changer because at that point, getting that license significantly increased my pay and decreased the number of hours that I had to work. So I started to gain that work life balance as a mom,
Mhm.
and little by little, I grew that practice. I started hiring employees. Um, I started thinking about like what my purpose was, what my why was. I think in business, we all talk about what is our why, what's really going to hold us together and push us to that next
Mhm.
step. And for me, it was my kids. I didn't want them to go without, and so my why was always looking at my children and pushing me to get what I needed to do what I needed to do to be able to support them the way that I wanted to support them. Uh, and it was tied into something that was really powerful to me, which was my purpose. I'm a lucky one. I know what my purpose is on this planet, and it's to help people. And I've been doing it my whole life since I was 15. I've been helping people. Looking back at my life, I'm like, wow, that's all I've done.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just help
Yeah.
people. So I mean, at 15, I was volunteering at Children's Institute, giving hugs to foster kids, and it kept growing and going. So I have
Yeah.
my purpose, I have my why, and I felt like there was nothing that could stop me once all of that was identified and right in front of me. Like it
Yeah.
was easy to do this. It made it easier knowing that I had these really good reasons to keep pushing and keep being resilient and persistent in what I was doing.
Made it easy to do really, really hard shit is actually what I heard you saying.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
let's
Yes.
not, sugarcoat it. But it's funny, I've listened to Simon Sinek a lot, and he does say and talk about, in his book Start With Why, if you know your why, the how doesn't matter, right? And it really does make all of that hard work so much easier to get through when you know like your purpose and what the significance is at the end. And I definitely can relate to that. Like, and for me too, like same, like my purpose, the thing that like lights my fire is like helping people impact, like that transformation is what gets me out of bed every day. Like there's
Yes.
something about it that just feels so good. And I feel like that's
Right.
why I'm here, and
Yeah.
and so similar, of course, like to what you're doing. And it's funny, before I became a financial advisor, I did want to be in the world of psychology and work with
Mm.
families and children. I was actually enrolled to get my MSW, and then I tapped out and,
Oh,
and shifted gears. Yeah, I had a really
yeah.
bad internship experience and
Mm.
some other life events that occurred that made me pivot. And I'm grateful I did. But girl, the work that you do is so special. It's so needed, especially today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, I love that you shared what you shared too, because so many women today, I think, give up on themselves too easily, and they stop when things get hard. And I have found, and you probably can relate to this to some degree, is like when things get hard, that's when you dig in more, right? Like,
Yeah.
because
You almost have
on the
to. Yeah.
precipice of like all the good shit, like, and it's okay to work hard. It's okay to feel exhausted, because sometimes that's just what it takes to get the good stuff, to be able to earn more and
Right.
work less and hire a team, And I'd love to know, like, what were you telling yourself during that time? Like,
Yeah.
what kept you going? What was your mantra?
Yeah, I knew it was temporary. So I
Yeah.
remember when I was working those long hours, I knew that there was a goal. There was
Hmm.
that North Star that I was going to get
Yep.
to, and things were going to get easier.
Yeah.
And did things get easier? Yes. I
Yeah.
mean, it's still, running a business is
Mhm.
still tough.
Oh God. Yeah.
Having kids is tough. So all of it's tough. But like you
Mhm.
said, I think it's managing that work-life balance. And as a
Yeah.
therapist, like we're all about work-life balance. We're really helping people create it. We're helping implement it ourselves. So it's finding that balance and then really embracing like the good times,
Hmm.
right? And embracing the fun times and
And
enjoying what you do every day.
that's
So I
right.
think that's the key. We hear it all the time, right?
Fun.
Like do what you love and it's not going to feel
Mhm.
like work. Well, it is true.
Mhm.
Find what you love, find what you're passionate about, find your purpose. And
Yeah.
that's really what's going to keep pushing you.
That's
So
right. Nope.
that's my mantra. So I think I have a bunch of them,
Love it.
depending on the moment,
Yeah, and one question I'm super curious about, because you had like the beautiful white picket fence life, right? And then all of a sudden you find out your husband is having an affair. And I'm sure, if you're like any other woman I know, that really messed with your confidence. And you went from probably feeling like the pit in your stomach, wanting to go cry in a closet and never get out, and maybe not, but I'm just putting myself in your shoes for a
Yeah,
second.
I think a lot
And
of women can relate
to
to what that would
um
feel like.
to
Yeah.
to seriously digging in, crushing it, building a business, which we're going to get into in a minute here, but like, I want to know what belief about yourself had to die for this business to be born.
Wow, that's a great question. Um, I think so. Looking back, I think I had to convince myself that I could do it
Yeah.
on my own.
Mhm.
So I think it was the belief of, you're married and you need someone to help you do things. And I think I had to let that die. I didn't need anyone. And I had to believe in myself enough to kind of push myself through. And so I had to really rely. And, I became my biggest cheerleader. And thank God that I have amazing people around me that are also my cheerleaders. I'm very lucky to have that. Friends, family, my mom, like just constant praise and then also praising myself. I'm strong, I'm beautiful, I'm
That's huge.
capable. Yeah,
Mhm.
being able
Yeah.
to say those things and believe them.
Mhm.
That was my key and I think that was the shift. I didn't need anyone to raise children and to raise them well and to take care of them and to build a legacy or an empire or a business. I didn't need anyone. I can do it all on my own. But I have a lot of supports. My family, my friends, my business friends, like I just pull people towards me. I think that's key too. It's that saying of, you know, you need a village. And
It's
and I
a
did.
village, yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely needed a village. And I knew that. I identified that too. And I started pulling teachers, church, my family, my friends, my business friends, just everybody that I could. And that was my village.
I love that. Such a superpower. And like, we don't need anyone. We are everything and we are enough, but that circle and support system truly is everything for sure. And I got to say, like, you got to have the right people in there. And if the wrong ones are in there, get them out fast.
Right. Yeah.
Because man, this life is hard, too hard to have those people in it,
Right.
that
Yes.
so
Absolutely.
maybe your, ex just did you a little bit of a favor, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean,
Looking back,
he
yes.
saved you, you know? Um,
Yes.
so Hey, I guess the universe works in weird ways. And now in 2020, the world is on fire. And you are hiring your first, what, 12 employees? So what was that like, especially during that time of which then your type of business is needed beyond, and you've
Right.
grown from 12 to what, over 60? I mean, you've got such a dynamic team. So I would love to hear what that was like, how you decided to quickly scale. If you can
Yeah.
dive into that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think building a business was, I did have some experience, but not specifically with building and scaling at the level that I wanted to.
Yeah.
And I just, I read a few books. I joined a mentoring group eventually, with business owners that were also helping. And I just learned a lot of the skills like delegating, hiring the right people. A lot of, if there's business people listening to this, they know the lingo, the right people in the right seat,
Yep.
so, and it's just really following these key things that really helped scale. But it was a learning curve. And that first year was probably the most difficult. I'd say the first and second year of
Yeah.
this business was probably the most difficult. Now, it's a little bit easier. There's still struggles, but I'd say the first year you're learning and you're going through things. And then in my field, we're working with people and personalities and burnout and, everything that comes with being a therapist, like work-life balance, not feeling what your client is feeling and taking that with you, so there's skills that, as a leader, I have to learn, and so do all of our therapists. They have to learn how not to carry that with them so that they don't burn out. So it's really taking care of the people in the company too, and learning how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say one of my biggest and most challenging learning curves was definitely shifting from just practitioner to leader.
Yeah.
And man, did I get my butt handed to me, but we learn and shifting that. And I don't know about you, but I still love practicing. Like it lights me up. And so it's, you got to wear both hats. And for me, it's the leading part where I'm like, I know I have to do it, but I don't want to have that conversation. Um, and working on that. And so, as you made that shift from just solo practitioner in the practice all the time to probably splitting your time now where you're both in leading and overseeing the team, were there any core systems that you used or relied on that were helpful outside of maybe like the coaching or mentoring group? Did you do any EOS or anything that you found helpful when you were building that out?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of a lot of different things,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I implemented a little bit of EOS. I did attend a program at Stanford through the Latino Business Action Network. So it's just a network for companies and businesses that are already successful but want to build and scale. So we did read a lot of books there that were all about building and scaling and factual like studies about how other businesses were able to build and scale. So following just, I did a lot of education. I think I'm a lifelong learner. Also
Oh,
looking back at my whole life, right? It's like a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and then it's just constantly,
mhm.
being in some type of program where I can learn and learn how to be a leader. I'm in a program now, and it's a 3-year program about leadership and building and scaling. So I'm in my first year with that. And I imagine that once I'm done with that, I'll probably look into something else, so that I can continue to learn and grow. I mean, at every stage of our life, we can grow and we can build. So I feel like lifelong learner is part of who I am at this point
Yeah.
without even like trying or thinking about it. Like I was just like, I need to be challenged. I need to learn more. I have more to give. How do I do that? We
Yeah.
seek guidance.
Hmm. It's huge. No, I love it. I'm the same way. Like I'm addicted to it. It's like, and I have this
Yeah.
belief too, if we stop learning, we start dying. And then like, how am I going to
Oh,
continue
yeah.
to add value to my clients if I stop? Like there's
Right.
so much to know. And to that end, like, is there anything that stands out, like as far as you were growing and building your team, like what was the most expensive mistake you made and what did that teach you?
Oh, wow. The most expensive mistake. Huh. Let's see.
Or
Uh,
heartbreaking? I mean, whatever comes to mind.
yes, yes. I'm trying to think of something. I've made a million mistakes for sure.
Same.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, I did, I am the kind of person that jumps in. I'm not scared to kind of jump in and grow and build
Yeah.
before I even know what I'm doing. So I almost feel like I'm just going to do it and then I fix it as we go. I don't think that's a mistake though. I think that's probably one of my strengths is that I'm not a perfectionist. I don't need everything to be perfect. I just do it. But I make mistakes along the way, but I
Yeah.
know that that's what's going to happen is I'm going to get the mistakes and
Mhm.
I'm going to get things that are done wrong and then I fix them right away. So, I don't know that it's probably expensive, but it's actually the way I've always been, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
always worked
Well, they
out.
do
So,
say, the quickest road to success is to fail as often as possible,
right.
right? And just
Yeah.
keep learning from that. So that's what makes me feel good anyways. That's why I tell myself every time I make a mistake, I'm like, okay, it's fine. We're just getting one step closer.
Right. Yeah, I think that's what
But
it is, right? Because we're
yeah.
never going to know how to do something exactly right. And if you're scared of making a mistake, you're never going to go anywhere. But when you're not scared, you're jumping in before you're even ready. And you're
Yeah.
just, it's, what's coming and you're just going to deal with it. So,
Yeah, it's probably part of like what made you so successful because in our prior conversation, you actually had sent it to me before we jumped on. You mentioned not being a straight A student,
yeah.
but the fact that you were able to still be successful, and I think most of us entrepreneurs weren't straight A students. Some of us just like straight up dropped out of school.
Yeah.
From not myself, but others that I have certainly talked to, and it just seems that that not hanging on to perfectionism, but the ability to just take risks, figure it out, learn as you go, probably equates to so much of your success, resilience, ability to really thrive, like under really wild circumstances. So,
I think
and,
so.
and I
Yeah.
really say that because I have so many women who feel like they have to be perfect or get another degree or do something just right before they ask for whatever it is that they're going after, starting the business or increasing their prices or scaling, and it's like you don't need to have all the things just right to move to that next level. And I think it's so important to remind everyone who's listening there.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are really good points. I don't think I realized that until I was talking out loud right now.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
it happens like your journey is so purposeful, and your center. So your counseling center now, I believe you are intentionally serving underserved communities. That you're huge on the cultural dynamic differences. You have bilingual care, which I think is phenomenal, and so talk to me about how you were able to make this non-negotiable. It's part of your core values and your teams. And then do you still face current barriers when it comes to being able to equip these communities with mental health? Mental,
Yeah.
yeah.
So when we started the practice, we actually created our core values and our mission together as a team.
I
And I
love that.
think when you put a group of mental health therapists together, it's like naturally wanting to help, the people that need it the most. So it is the underserved communities. It could be it's people of color, LGBTQ, elderly. It's just all of the underserved communities. And so when we came together, we thought, well, who is it that we want to serve? And these are the people. In addition to everyone else. I mean, we serve. We take a tremendous amount of insurances. We provide services to employers and their employees. We serve the underserved communities. I think it is difficult to serve the underserved. There's a lot more work, for example, with providing care to bilingual clients, just because of the language barrier and the paperwork barrier, and elderly clients struggle with getting online and using an app to do therapy. And so there's lots of technology that's just coming in so quickly right now, but we've been able to figure out how to help. It is a lot of extra work and a lot of extra hands in the pot doing different things,
Yeah.
but we're able to provide those services pretty seamlessly at this point. There's always struggles, but I
Mhm.
think we're doing a pretty good job at that.
Yeah. And are you 100% virtual?
We are,
100%?
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I was curious about that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
which it's, maybe one of the gifts of COVID, right? And so you also launched, which of course goes to your core values of serving, but you launched a nonprofit to provide free services as well. So I would love for you to share too, like, because there are definitely listeners who want to also build and launch a nonprofit or have that hybrid impact. And so I'd love to hear just advice on the first strategic step that they should take in doing that, and maybe what it was like for you.
Yeah, I think the decision to open a nonprofit was the gaps that we had in mental health with the for profit, where we were really struggling to provide anything outside of therapy. So the for profit, basically all we can bill for is straight therapy. The nonprofit is very different. So it's funded through grants, it's funded through donations. But right now we don't have a whole lot of grants, or we actually have no grants. But we're going after the grants, and we just opened up the system to take donations. So everything that we're offering is actually pro bono, from
Wow.
volunteers, from therapists, and it was because we wanted to fill the need that we saw with the for profit, which is extra help for people who
Mhm.
really don't understand technology, extra
Okay.
help for people who need more case management. Like they need therapy, but they also need someone to talk to them about resources out in the community, where to go to get food, where to go
Mhm.
to get housing. And that was something we couldn't provide at the for profit. So the nonprofit is stepping in to fill in those gaps. And it's pretty amazing when you have people who are actually volunteering their time to do this, and it's because they have also found their purpose. That's how I see it. If you're at a nonprofit and you're donating your time to help people, that's your purpose here, and you're loving what you're doing and you're enjoying every minute of it. So I think hand in hand now we can actually help quite a few people. So the gap that we have in one area of business, we can fulfill in the other one.
I love that. And now, are a lot of your employees also volunteering in the nonprofit organization? Or are they
Small
required?
handful are, yeah, and they know that they can. So a small
Okay.
handful are, yes. Hmm.
Awesome. Yeah, I was curious. And now, is your entire teaming in California, or are you spread out nationally?
So we're all licensed in California. So
Okay.
all of us, yeah, we can only work with our California license here in California.
Okay.
So throughout all of Southern California, because we are telehealth.
Okay. Awesome. Just I wanted to ask because I know you guys do have some restrictions there, but that's
Right.
it's such a cool thing that you're doing. And so now you are also a first generation college graduate, so daughter of a Mexican and Mexican American parents. So has that identity helped shape the way that you're able to lead and advocate now inside your space?
Yeah, I think yes, I think absolutely. Especially just being able to serve the underserved population, and I think having an understanding of how difficult it is for people to walk through the door who don't speak the language. So I remember my grandparents who are no longer here, who really needed my help and my mom's help to read paperwork that was mailed to them, or to do anything like that. It took longer. So when you asked me that, I remember we had to hire extra staff to help, not just Spanish speaking. We serve other languages as well, but we've had to hire extra staff to help just read through the paperwork, get them signed. And I don't know of any other businesses that really put in
Yeah.
that extra step, because it is very, it's not as cost effective as just working with people who don't speak a different language,
Right.
and it takes a lot more time. But I think that's where I feel I understand it I know I
Yeah.
came from that. I come from a family that needed the extra time, that
Mhm.
needed the extra help.
Yeah.
So we're perfectly fine with providing it just to get them where they need to be in order to get the services that they need.
It's such a good point. And when you say it, it sounds like such an obvious, like, duh, of course. But in truth, you're right. No one does that, at least from what I'm familiar with. But it's difficult to know the significance of the impact and how important it is unless you witnessed it firsthand, unless
Right.
you
Right.
experienced it,
Exactly.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
And that is definitely a unique point for sure. There's so many things that I think that, we deal with personally or live through, grow through. And if we didn't have that experience, it wouldn't have been a unique part of our business, whether it's that or anything else. I know certainly it's showed up in my life many times over, not that specifically, but in different dynamics. Um, so, for the audience, and for women feeling just behind because things are messy or imperfect, or they feel like they're just in absolute crisis mode. I get the feeling, or comment a lot like, I'm just frozen. I'm just frozen. I don't know what to do. And everything feels like a circus. What advice would you have, or like one little micro action that she can start doing to really step into her like crystal energy over here and be able to reach that potential she's capable of?
I can totally relate to that question, Nicole. So, yeah, that was me. That continues to be me at times. It's the question of what what people should do, right? And for me, I can give advice based on what I personally do. Is I do feel like that life's a circus sometimes, and there's so much to do. Where do I even begin? So it's absolutely breaking it up into smaller pieces, right? It's just creating very tiny action steps every single day. That's been my biggest, and I know a lot of business women probably do that already, right? And sometimes we need to hear it again. We need that
Right.
reminder. Like
Mhm.
get a calendar out, get your phone out, and create those tiny steps every single day that will get you where you need to go. Even if it's a tiny step, even if it's just 30 minutes a day to get you where you need to go, and be diligent about it. So that's where it is. It's doing the task regardless of whether you feel motivated or not, and that's the hardest part. It's
It is.
like you just have to do it whether you want to or don't want to, and just make it tiny though so it doesn't feel so hard. And before you know it, at the end of the month, you've like already accomplished something related to that task or to that goal, and it's just taking those tiny steps. And I feel like everybody knows that, but we don't always do it. So
That's
sometimes it's nice to hear a reminder. This is nothing new. I'm not saying anything new. It's just, a reminder. Like get that calendar out and write down what you're going to do this week. And by the end of the week, you'll have something done. And
yeah.
then by the end of the month, it's even bigger. And then by the end of the year, it's even more. So that would be
Yeah.
my advice, living in a circus.
Perfect advice. I love it. It's like, it's just
Yeah,
these little tiny baby steps, positive progress. Like, do something for yourself every day. Show up because nobody else is going to. That's the thing.
exactly.
No one
Yeah,
else can do it for you.
exactly.
So, you got to do it. And I think that's where that why comes in too. And just like, sometimes
Right.
I say to my clients too, because I almost feel like I'm on like the financial therapy side, right? And working through
Yeah,
all that mindset stuff. But it's like, man, like, it is hard. It's always hard, regardless of your income or where you're at. But it's like if you can just put that note to yourself on your mirror and you're looking at it every day, like what your why is, like even to your like one little needle mover a day, it stacks.
right,
You're worth it. And stop like giving up on yourself because you're not giving up on your kids. You're not giving up on anybody else. So,
right.
we matter. And I'd love to hear too, like as you were going through everything that you went through in your life, and especially building the business. Like, what is one boundary that you set, whether it was a time thing with people, energy? But I would love to know because that is something that I personally used to struggle with quite a lot, and I have since had to make like rules for myself with
Right.
with people and things. But I'd love to know like one boundary that you set that just once you did it, and I'm sure it was hard, it just immediately elevated everything else around you.
Yeah. So a big one for me is I feel like I'm probably a borderline workaholic. I think maybe I've always been, or maybe I turned myself into one.
Mhm.
I don't know. But I've worked long hours, long days, and I felt like I had to. I had to. This is what I had to do.
Yeah.
And there came a point in my life where I said, okay, I'm not going to do this because I need to have that work life balance. And I put a limit on how late I would work. And so even today, like the latest that I will work is 4 p.m. And a lot of times I'm off at 3. So this is the absolutely wonderful schedule, so but that took a lot of time because emails come in, things happen, work is still work, it's still there, it starts to build up. But that's when I learned the systems to put into place, right? Delegation was key for me, being able to hire the right people that I would be able to delegate tasks to and trust that they would get them done. And little by little, I was taking things off my plate. And I know if I wanted to shorten my day even more, I could absolutely do it. And it's because I know the techniques that need to get done in order to do something like that. And it really is hiring the right people and trusting them and training them well, and delegation. Like, I mean, the owner can't do everything on their own. They really need to find people that they can delegate to and trust and take good care of them, because they're taking good care of you as well.
Yeah. If you want to keep your sanity, kids,
Yes.
take notes. That is
Yeah. Yes.
will
Yes.
not grow and have a life that will not like burn you out and
Right.
or to the ground if you don't delegate. So I'm so glad you brought, and it's hard. Like I am also a workaholic, and I'm definitely used to be a micromanager, and like, oh my gosh, like, that
Right.
was the hardest, one of the hardest things I had to do was like delegate, trust. It's okay if they mess up, delegate, trust is,
Yes.
and just
Yes.
finding the right people too, and kind of like accepting the fact that like you can't do it all, by the way,
Right.
if you
And they're
want to
not
grow
going to do it 100%. So they're not
that,
going to be 100%
yeah,
perfect, but 80% is
it's
okay.
good.
Yeah. It's pretty
Who
good.
who has that quote? Is it Dan Martell, buy back your time? Like 80% done is 100% better than you doing it yourself, or something
Yes.
along.
Yes, exactly.
And that's just it. Sometimes it hurts a little bit and they get better, but it's all good. So,
Right.
and I would love, for one thing, and everyone listening, because therapy now, and thank God it's getting destigmatized, and it's definitely, I think, more common speak. I know almost every single one of my friends has a therapist. We talk about it all the time. You have like your board of advisors, right? Your therapist, your business coach, your financial advisor, your attorney, your CPA. It's like, it's just in there now,
Yeah.
is everyone. But if there's like one misconception that you think still exists about therapy, what is that?
Wow. So a misconception about therapy. Um, we still hear this today, which is really interesting, that only crazy people go to therapy. Like, we still hear that. There's some parents who will call us, or um, help fix them,
Mm,
or um, just snap out of it. So we hear like, oh, well, why can't my husband just snap out of it? Why can't my kid just snap out of it? So that's a really big misconception, is that you can just snap out of being depressed,
mhm.
because it's not true. It's not like, it's not. There's so many reasons why you can't, and that's why I think, although I will give that parent or that spouse credit, that they're actually still bringing their family member to therapy, even though they're making those comments. And that's where psychoeducation comes into play, where we can educate the family member, we can educate the parent, whoever it is that really has these misconceptions about therapy. And that's where our therapist will come in and provide that help and support to both the client that comes in, and then their family member that may not really understand it, why they can't just snap out of it.
Mhm. Yeah, that's an important point. It really is so important to deeply understand so that they can have the empathy, and that I find sometimes is always a barrier, right? Is just the gap there, and it's
Right.
hard
Yeah.
for a family member,
Yes.
it's just like anything else. So I'm glad you brought that up. And of course, for anyone listening, if you are feeling frustrated, like there's always more to the story, whether it's with yourself or a loved one. And so thank you. This conversation has been awesome. I'm so glad that you were able to make the time. And before we sign off, is there any last message that you want to leave for female founders listening?
Um, I would say that I'd love to meet more female founder members. So I'll let that know. I love inspiring women. I love being around other women who have goals and dreams. I think for me, my message was just persistence, resilience, just never give up. I honestly believe that. And I believe that if you surround yourself with the right people, those cheerleaders, that's the key, is like the village, the people, and your mindset. So working on those things and continuing to work on them lifelong, right? And it's like you brought something up earlier about eliminating or not having the negative people around you, because it will weigh you down. People who don't believe in you, people who aren't encouraging you.
Mhm.
Little by little, find out, think about the people that are around you that cause you stress. And if you can eliminate those people from in your life that cause you really like mental stress, and it's not allowing you to get where you need to go, maybe you need to cut them loose. And that's something that I started working on years ago. And that's basically, you clean out your village, and then
Yes,
you have people that are around you that are very supportive to you, and you're supportive to them. So imagine how much you can elevate yourself when you surround yourself with the right bunch of people.
I love that. That's perfect. Love it. Great way to end. I started doing that too years ago, and man, was it hard, but it felt so good. Oh my gosh, it was like this great like release, and it's wild. I promise you, though, it's worth it.
Yeah.
And so do it, get it done.
Yeah.
But so I will have all of Crystal's information in the show notes, contact information, website, so that way you guys can connect, engage with her, follow,
Great.
ask questions. And until next time, my powerhouses, continue to be courageous. If you enjoyed this episode, please do me a favor, follow, rate, and review. It helps more women find the show, and I appreciate it so much. Your support means the world to me. Go ahead, share it with another founder, friend, or leader who needs to hear this. And for more resources, coaching, or if you want to join our Money Bitch community on Facebook, come find us or hit me up and say hi on Instagram at powerhouse money. And of course, always continue to be courageous.